Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, is officially up on social media. DOGE is chaired, as you may know, by Elon Musk and former GOP presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy.
This is the equivalent of a modern Manhattan Project to take on, I think, the major problem holding our country back. It's the federal bureaucracy. Target that cost, save the money, restore self-governance. This Department of Government Efficiency, it is built with an end date. We want to be done by July 4th, 2026. So for the first time in history, creating a department, creating a new government project that is designed to end when its work is complete.
Wow, that's a lot to get done. President-elect Trump is promising to shrink the federal government, and these numbers explain why. More than 1,000 new rules and regulations were imposed by the Biden administration, costing taxpayers a total of $1.8 trillion. And nearly 340 million in hours of paperwork. Compare that to just $3 billion in costs under Trump. The Obama administration coming in at $500 billion. Just a few things identified by multiple sources, which add up to nearly $400 billion in waste. And that is the key word here: money to dead people. So people who don't currently exist, God rest their souls. Research on Russian cats and transgender monkeys. Joe and Hunter Biden's Ireland jaunt. A drag show in Ecuador, and the list goes on. You can read about it. The New York Post. The goal of cutting government waste is not limited to those on the right. Here's former Obama economic advisor Robert Wolf.
When you say you're cutting $2 trillion, and by the way, Congress has the power of the purse, I'm just curious about where his brilliance is going to get that $2 trillion from. So I'm all for it. I hope every congressman has to stand in line and go up and down on every line item for all I care.
Whew. Past administrations have made similar efforts, including Ronald Reagan, who formed a commission to cut wasteful spending, President Clinton's efforts to do the same. Steve Hilton, Fox News contributor. So, Steve, where could they start? I bet you have some thoughts.
Well, absolutely, not least because I myself undertook a very similar exercise back in the day when I was working in the UK government in 10 Downing Street. And what I encountered there was that there's a massive, the bureaucracy is incredibly good at fighting off anything like this. And unless you have real political backing, nothing's going to change. And so that's the first thing that makes this so exciting. You can see that President Trump is right behind this. So whatever they recommend, he's going to want to see that happen. But the real truth is the big changes are going to come, I think, not just from shaving off, stupid spending here and slicing a bit off the budget there, but really rethinking from first principles whether we even need this function. Should this function exist? Should this agency exist? Should this department exist? Should this be carried out by the federal government at all? What you see, and I see this very much my home state of California, where I'm looking into all our policy problems, there's so much duplication. You've got federal agencies regulating everything from house building to infrastructure to all these endless busybodies interfering in businesses' daily lives and everyone's daily life. And then that's replicated at the state level as well. And so the question is, how do we just rethink the whole thing? And that's why having original thinkers like Elon and Vivek doing this that's why it could be different this time.
Yeah, when you talk about that duplication, it's always been my experience in digging down into numbers as a journalist, trying to figure out where funding went for this or that. That makes it hard to do.
Yes,
because you've got two sources of income coming, and a lot of times the same people handling all that. Your last quick thought on it.
Well, exactly, and that's why it's not enough just to sort of go through the budget, and the line item exercise is very important, but there's a policy aspect to this as well, which is let's just rethink the whole way it's all structured and make really dramatic, big changes. That's how you get to that $2 trillion.
All right, we popped back up on the wall where some of that money that they will no doubt look at is going. Vivek Ramaswamy gave that July 4th, 2026 deadline. That is a lot of work to do when you've seen complete administrations over two presidents' terms not be able to do it. So we can't wait to see what that's going to look like. Look, you mentioned Elon Musk. I did too, with DOGE. But apparently he's rubbing some people. Maybe they're worried because he's actually going to do these things and that the president-elect is actually going to do these things. We know the ratings have taken a hit over at MSNBC and at CNN. And look, we all die by the sword, right? We do our jobs, we do the best we can, and the viewers tell us whether they give us a grade. Well, Joy Reid's trying to give Elon Musk a grade. And how she's going to do it is cut her X platform. Look at this.
Hey guys, so today I finally did something I've been meaning to do for a while. And the reason for doing it, and kissing goodbye my 1.9 million followers over there, is because I hadn't been posting for a long time. I just didn't want to contribute content once it was purchased by its present owner. I was only holding on to it because I, really didn't want someone trying to take over that name and using it for nefarious purposes. But I just realized that's not really worth it, because in order to do the news aggregation and just look at all, you have to wade through a lot of dreck and a lot of just abuse and a lot of just negativity.
Wow, you can close your account without having to. Yeah,
I know.
She doesn't understand how technology works. By the way, everything has a footprint, so those tweets and X posts exist somewhere. Anyway, Steve.
I mean, the self-importance of these people. Oh, I've got to make a video explaining why I've changed my daily habits. I mean, who cares, frankly? It's not like we're going to miss her interventions on X or anywhere else. But this is what you're seeing, this sort of hysterical reaction both to Trump's election and to Elon, and it's also pantomime. They create these sort of cartoon caricatures and play along with it. Meanwhile, people just care about how their daily lives are going, not what Joy Reid's talking about.
Amen. That's what they just said 2 Tuesdays ago in an election. And look, all those people who said, oh, I'm going to leave if our person doesn't get elected.
Exactly.
So I sort of put this in that. We'll see what happens. A warm welcome for the president-elect at the start of their White House meeting yesterday. President Biden is still standing by, however, his past jabs at Trump and his supporters during the campaign. Watch.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. Donald Trump is a loser. He's a loser as a candidate. And more importantly, in my view, and I'm just going to say it straight up, he's a loser as a man.
I believe Donald Trump is a danger to the well-being and security of America.
Do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
The president has always been very clear-eyed about this, about the threat of the former president represents to our democracy.
Yesterday, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, who you just saw, said this about the past remarks.
Was there an apology from President
whom?
Biden for the words, some of the words he used?
The president is going to always feel obligated to be honest with the American people. What he says still stands. And it's not just him. What we want to be also very clear about is the importance of listening to the will of the American people. There was an election. It is important to respect our institution. It is important to respect the free and fair elections. And that's what this president is doing.
Steve, did she forget from 3 weeks ago all of the things that have been said about, against Trump supporters? What she said from that very lectern? What happened there?
It's amazing, isn't it, that Biden would so graciously welcome Hitler to the White House. It's a joke.
If he really believed that, yeah.
Well, I think that's the point. They obviously didn't mean a word of it, and that's what's coming out now. And they're embarrassed by the fact that their ridiculous, divisive rhetoric that was so reckless in riling people up, the voters didn't buy it. It's completely collapsed, that whole argument. And now they're embarrassed that they even said those things, somehow trying to make sense of it. But it doesn't make sense because people could see through it all along.
Yeah. Well, I said it yesterday as we covered it live, and I'll say it again. The visual of them coming together, perhaps it will portend something very peaceful in the future, which both men agreed to, but not just the transition, for the country. We live among our neighbors, and you and I have talked about this before. We're all Americans. Steve, thank you.
Thank you, Harris.
Well, this will be difficult this holiday season if people keep this up. Some liberals are telling people that it's okay to cut off your pro-Trump family members this holiday season. It is not okay.
If you are going into a situation where you have family members, where you have close friends who have voted in ways that are against you, it's completely fine to not be around those people.
Wow. The holidays are about love. Every day is, right? We're blessed. We're on this side of the dirt. Those people are now facing a wave of backlash. Lisa Booth in Focus next.